Who's ready for some Peach Cobbler Style Ribs? Because you know they're gonna be tender and cooked right. Let's get started. Let's cook some Peach Cobbler baby back ribs. First thing I gotta do is get these Prairie Fresh primes out of the pack. Once you kind of get that little bit of wetness wiped off, you can go ahead and trim some flat meat off if you want. But if you go on the curve in, you can see me, I'm just gonna dig my finger right under there with that glove on. I'm gonna go all the way to the other side. And once I get all the way on that other side, I can pick that rib up. Y'all know I'm gonna rip it right off, just like that. Everybody grabs paper towels, everybody does all that mess. There's really any need in it whatsoever on a baby back rib. Now, St. Louis, I agree, you might need a little bit of help. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2 today. Now I'm gonna trim this flap meat off. Well, and I can feel right here, I'm gonna go ahead and take that whole bone off. That's not anything anyway, you don't really want that. Now all I'm doing is kind of squaring up just a little bit here. I'm gonna take that one end bone off down here. Have to kind of feel where it's at here. It's about half a bone. See, you don't really want that either. A lot of tissue. I'm gonna take my knife and I can kind of see where this rib starts here and kind of runs up. I'm gonna flip it around here and just start on one end and go down that rib. And so getting that fat off right there, let's turn it back around here. I'm gonna go in here with that and go right over the top of that. Now you see that, pure fat. Now I'm gonna take and kind of shape this out right here where it's gonna be the same thickness as the rest of that rib. And I'm gonna get under here and see if I can't get some more of that tissue and muscle fibers and all that cut out. Now remember, when you pick this rib up, you can kind of go down through here and just skim these fat pockets right out of that and get all that hard fat off. Then I'm gonna get right under that. Now, you just have to be careful cutting all that out. And I think that rib is gonna be perfect right there. I think that is trimmed up, nice. It's a good meaty rib. You can see we got all that kind of cleaned up off of there. If I wanted to be picky, let's go ahead and get a little bit more right there. All right, that one's good. Now let's see what we need work on this one here. Looks like this one's gonna need a little work as well. I'm gonna go in here and cut this end bone off just like I did this other one. And I'm gonna go down here and cut that off as well. Now when I turn that rib over, we'll go in the same way, right on top of that loin. I tell you, these Prairie Fresh primes, they're not shy about giving you a meaty slab of ribs. Now you don't have to trim as far as me, completely up to you, but I like taking as much of the hard fat off as I can. All right, now that we've got our ribs all trimmed up, I've got a clean hand, I've got some water in a spray bottle. I'm just gonna use a little bit of water to help activate my rub and let it stick to the meat. You can use mustard as a binder, you can use oil, you can use anything you want. Completely up to you. I'm gonna start with a base layer of my garlic jalapeno rub. Once I get a good base of that, I'm gonna then come back with some of my peach rub. Ooh, it smells like Georgia right out of the bottle. All right, once you get the back and the front of those looking real good, I'm gonna turn them over, spritz with a little water, and get ready to go down with that garlic jalapeno. Now, if you don't have our garlic jalapeno, you can pick it up at your local stores. There's a lot of them that carry it. You can check our dealer locator and punch in a zip code you're around, and you should be able to find it at your local mom and pop store or some of your big box stores. I'm gonna take this peach rub here and go back on with a layer. All right, once we get all of our ribs patted in and they're all ready to go, you can see hitting them with that water on the front end kind of helps activate the sweating in process. And so kind of getting them wet before they go on the smoker and just keep patting them in. There's not a lot on my hands here. I've got my Traeger fired up to 250 degrees. Today we're gonna cook a little bit slower. I normally cook 275 to 300 degrees. Well, today we're gonna go 250 degrees, and we're gonna see how long it takes these baby back ribs to cook to get them to my desired tenderness that I like. So going 275 to 300, we're normally between everything about a 4-hour rib. I'm expecting today to be 4.5 to 5 hours at 250 degrees, and that's between rest and everything. So let's get these baby backs throwed on this Traeger now and let the party get started. As you can see, we've got our hopper filled up with those good Royal Oak charcoal pellets here. Now that we've got those all full, let's get these slabs on. So this is my Traeger Ironwood XL. It is a great pellet grill for the money, in my opinion. Get these racks laid on here. You can see this slab is going to be a little bit meatier than this one. I had to trim a lot of fat off of this rib. That's more of a competition trim for me that I did not mean to, but this is a really good meaty thick rib right here. So 250 degrees, we'll be back in about an hour and a half to check on them. See y'all then. All right, our Traeger's kicking along here. It's been an hour and a half. Our timer just went off. Our ribs are looking great over here. They're starting to dry out on top. I'm gonna give them a little bit of water. I'm gonna get the grill lid shut and let these ribs keep cooking. I'm gonna set a timer for another hour and we'll see where we're at. I imagine at 1 hour, we're gonna be ready to wrap. All right, our Peach Cobbler Style Ribs have been cooking about 2.5 hours. Let's get in here and take a look at them. Now remember, today we're cooking at 250 degrees. You can see the rub is good and tacked up on these. Now just so I'll know, I'm gonna stick a thermopin in these things. And it says I'm reading about 160. Yeah, those are perfect to take off. So let's get these off and get them over here to our cutting board and get them wrapped up. So the first thing we want to do, we've got some foil doubled up here. I've got it sitting in a tray so no liquid runs out. I've got some peach pie filling here. I'm going to take a little bit and kind of put out. I want those ribs to kind of infuse some of that peach flavor, some of that jelly and all that. I'm going to take some of my peach rub now and lay down. Now I'm going to take some cinnamon sugar and lay that down, and a little bit of my brown sugar honey habanero glaze. Now I'm going to repeat the process on the back of these ribs and get them wrapped up tight. All right, let's get them back on. Now that both of our ribs are wrapped up, I'm gonna get them back on the cooker here. I'm gonna let them go for about an hour, then we'll check them. All right, our ribs have been wrapped for 1 hour. Now, let's get in here and check them just so I'm 100%. I don't wanna overcook my ribs. You can always carry on, but it's kinda hard to bring them back when they go way past the point. No, they still gotta carry on a little bit further. They're not even quite 180 yet. Cooking at 250 degrees is a little bit different. And so I'm gonna get my grill lid shut and let it go another 30 minutes and I'll check it and see where we're at. All right, we're back to check on our ribs. Our ribs have been wrapped a total of 2 hours and 15 minutes. They cooked unwrapped for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So total cook time so far, our ribs have been cooking 4 hours and 45 minutes. Let's get in here and check them. Now I'm gonna take these off. Yep, that's got some bend. That's got some bend. I think that's probably gonna be where I want them at, but let's get them over here to the cutting board and open them up and check them. All right, let's get in here and check this big slab of ribs, and I'm gonna say, yep, I see those bones right there. That's right where I wanna be on that. Y'all, this rib smells, if you close your eyes, you would think you were standing over a fresh baked peach cobbler. Oh, it smells good. Whew, that smells fantastic. Oh yeah, that's there now. So let's let these hang out on the cutting board about 30 minutes. Let's get a glaze started for these things. All right, let's make up an easy peach-inspired glaze. So I'm just winging this. I'm gonna take some peach preserves here. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna say, that's about a 1/4 cup. So I'm gonna take that 1/4 cup of peach preserves there, kind of stir them around before I put it on my grill here. I'm gonna take some competition barbecue sauce. I'm probably doing about 2/3 of a cup of it. And I'm gonna do at least a 1/4 cup of this brown sugar honey habanero glaze. That may have been a little bit more than a 1/4 cup. But I'm gonna get this on my Traeger and let it start heating up and coming to a head while my ribs are kind of cooling down. These ribs really need to rest at least 30 minutes. So I think this glaze will probably be ready to go in then at that time. That's gonna be good. Let's get it over here, let it get warm, and then we're gonna glaze some ribs. All right, now that our ribs have rested almost 30 minutes, I'm gonna get them out, get them on a wire rack. Our sauce is warmed up, that glaze has melted down, and it is pretty. Look at that, got little chunks of peach in it. Ooh, y'all, that sauce is good. So let's undo this rib here. Wow. Now, before I remove this rib out of the foil, I'm gonna take my brush real gentle here and kind of move everything off the back of that rib. All those extra peaches and all that stuff, kind of get it off of there. Oh yeah, look at that rib. Let's lay it there. Ooh, y'all, this smells like, I'm telling you, it's peachy around here. It's peachy. We'll kind of get some sauce in between each of those bones, and I know it's probably a little excess, but I want to make sure I glaze over just a little bit of everything. Now, let's turn these over and do these tops. Oh, would you look how pretty those ribs are. These peach cobbler ribs smell amazing. Oh yeah, once we get all that on there like that, y'all know I'm gonna come back with a little bit of that peach rub. All right, we just made these ribs that Memphis Muddy style, a little bit of this peach rub. I'm gonna take these slabs back over to my Traeger, get them back on, let this rub and glaze tack up for about 15-20 minutes. We're gonna pull them off, bust them open, and do that rib wave. Come on, let's go. Ooh, would you look at that. Peachy, pretty perfection. Say that fast 3 times. All right, our ribs are done glazing up. Would you look at that? Those are beautiful. Beautiful color. Let's get in here and see if we can't get them off. All right, just to recap about our peach cobbler style ribs. So I took 2 slabs of baby back Prairie Fresh prime ribs, kind of squared the end bones off, skinned the membrane, and called it a day. Spritzed it down with water, used our garlic jalapeno rub and our peach rub, layered it on really good, then threw it on our Traeger Ironwood XL with roll oak charcoal pellets at 250 degrees. Y'all know I'm normally a 275 or higher guy. Now these ribs had to cook an additional hour at 250 degrees basically to get tender. And they're tender, but they're not my normal comp tender, and I hadn't even picked them up yet. I could tell by the way they felt. But they were done, they were hitting that probe tender, they were hitting that 200 and something degrees, they were fine. So just to recap a little bit, after we done that, we spritzed them with water after about an hour and a half, and then we wrapped them up on the 2.5 hour mark. We used some peach pie filling, a little bit more of that peach rub, some of our brown sugar honey habanero glaze, and a little bit of cinnamon brown sugar. We let them go in that wrap for about 2 hours, a little over. Pulled them out and glazed them up with this fresh peach style comp sauce we made with a mixture of peach jelly, also our comp sauce. Let it all get all heated up with our brown sugar glaze. Glaze it on top of these ribs, and this is what you see. There's only one thing left to do, see if they pass that rib wave challenge. So let's get in here and pick a slab up. I can say that's got a little bit of wave to it. I can pick that rib up and I can hold it. But where I was wanting to do that, look at that break right there. There's a break there and a break here. That rib's tender the way it needs to be. I could just keep doing that. But I'm just gonna go right here and break that right in half for you. Just that simple, just that easy. Let's get in here and try a bite. I call that my crab leg pull. If somebody else was cracking them for you, you'd eat a lot more. Well, there it is. I'm almost speechless. I'm a huge peach fan. This is the first time I've tried this recipe, just kind of putting everything together. The peach jelly with that brown sugar honey habanero flavors so good together. And when you take that garlic jalapeno rub, you get that little bit of heat, and you cook these ribs precisely, you get that smoke. It's that little bit of loin meat or that bacon laying on top of there, as we like to call it in the comp world. Woo-wee. Tender. Y'all don't know what you're missing out unless you try a rack of these. If you like what we're doing on our channel, be sure to like, subscribe, follow along with your friends. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course YouTube. I'll see you next week with another video. Let's go good.